Welcome back at 7:24 right now. Thursday will mark 70 years since the brutal murder of Emmett Till, a Chicago boy who traveled to Mississippi to visit family and was returned to his mother, mangled by men who accused him of whistling at a white woman. And for the first time, the public can view documents detailing the federal government's response in 1955. So I'm so honored to have Christopher Benson, a Northwestern University professor who co-wrote Death of Innocence, the story of the hate crime that changed America, with Emmett Till's mother, Mamie Till-Mobley, here with me this morning. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate the time.
It's good to be with you. Thank you.
You know, 70 years, wow. More than 6,500 pages of this murder investigation were just published online under the Civil Rights Cold Case Records Collection Act of 2018. It's signed by President Donald Trump. This is just the first batch. I know many researchers like yourself have used FOIA requests, open records requests here for years to obtain this information and to publish your work. Do you agree with it now being widely available?
Absolutely. I think there are several ways to look at this. One is obviously the public right to know. It's important for us to have this kind of information out there in the public hands to make it accessible. FOIA requests, as you just mentioned, take time. Files are redacted. Now we have a complete access for the public to review this. But it also is important to recognize that with all the documents you mentioned, it's going to take time for people to go through them.
Absolutely.
There is no through line to say this is what it's about, this is what it means. So we need somebody who can read the files, analyze them, and explain them to the public. That's journalism.
Yeah.
And so I think the added benefit is that it reinforces the importance of journalism in this contemporary moment. And finally, I think there's a symbolic value in this. In this period where we are looking at censorship, book banning, what some people have referred to as eracism, people chopping out whole chunks of our story, the very release of these documents serves as a counter narrative to that. It says that this is important, it's important for you to have, and here it is.
So important for us to have, for sure. Let me ask you this, though. Do you believe that we will see, or maybe have you even possibly seen or found already, anything new? And if so, what?
We conducted our research, especially for the second book I co-authored with Reverend Wheeler Parker Jr., Emmett's cousin, his best friend, who was at the house the night Emmett was taken. And we, in doing this book, went on a 4-year ride along with the FBI. So we saw a lot of documents in that process. We also, before all of this material was consolidated and released, we had to go to different archives. And for example, we discovered information in the Eisenhower Library, memos that J. Edgar Hoover had written. And so to that extent, it's not new to us, but it'll be new to the public to see how the FBI really turned its back on this investigation. We have explanations of Hoover in the files and the memos he wrote, where he's looking more at communist influences on the civil rights movement than he is on the actual crime that was committed. 10 years later, they were able to use the same civil rights law that was on the books to investigate civil rights murders in the 60s. But he didn't do it then. And so I think it's important for people to understand the arc of the narrative when it comes to justice.
Yeah, and so much frustration there. So many of us will never get a first-hand account, a first-person account of this story. There's only one living witness. You just mentioned his name, connected to Emmett Till's case, and that is his cousin, Reverend Wheeler Parker Jr., who was with him the night that he was kidnapped. Everyone else, Carolyn Bryant Dunham, the woman who accused Till, and the men who were acquitted of kidnapping and murdering him, but later confessed, are all deceased. You had the opportunity to speak, to learn from people right with him, who knew him well, especially his mother, who opted for that open casket for the world to see what happened to him, to her son. What was it like speaking to those who knew him so well?
It was an amazing experience for me as a journalist to have that kind of close relationship with people who have lived through a story that, you know, as a black kid, I heard something about, but really didn't know in any great detail until I sat down and talked to them, and then, of course, did all the research that had to be done to flesh it out. But I met Mamie Till-Mobley in May 2002, and she expressed then a desire to write a book. I was about to write my second novel and wanted to wait for 6 months, and I said, no, wait a minute, this could be the most important thing I could ever do. 6 months later, she was gone. So we spent the last 6 months of her life documenting her story to make sure that it would live on beyond her. So that was important to her, it's important to me. So I was transformed in the process of doing that. And I also met Wheeler Parker during this time, and he sat me down with 8 of Emmett's childhood friends and his cousins, who told me the kind of stories that maybe his mother didn't even know, to bring him to life, because we wanted to humanize Emmett, to help the public really realize what was lost with his lynching, and what is lost with so many other black kids who grew up during a period when opportunities were cut short. They might not have been murdered, but they were not able to reach their potential because of discrimination in this country. So this story stands for all of that as well.
Yeah, there were many types of deaths in terms of potential and lives at that time. Thank you so much. Truly appreciate your diligence to this work. And again, his books are right here. Please look them up, especially this week. We need to do a little more digging, and especially with this new information online. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
And your time this morning. 7:30.